Welcome back to another episode of Oxygen Not Included, everybody. It's been a while since I've been able to find the time to play Oxygen Not Included because it's a little more of a time consuming game than some of the other ones I play. But I found some time to sit down and do a couple hours into our world today, and I wanted to show you where we have got to. Still a lot to work out with this, but we got our double boiler designed and working. I'm doing some testing with things. Um, so I have these top metal tiles here just to look at so I can see. The issue I was having is that the heat was too much with this long tunnel of petroleum that I had here. So when I had gold tiles here, they'd end up melting, and then this petroleum would fall down in here. It would get vaporized into sour gas, and I'd have to rebuild it and start over. So at first, I tried to put steel in here, and that was not a good solution. And I'm going to show you why. So this is a gold tile here. The specific heat capacity of gold is 0.129, which means it requires the specific amount of heat to change 1 kilogram by 1 degree is 0.0129 DTUs. Its thermal conductivity is 60, and its melting point is 1063. This is the number that was the problem. We want this heat capacity to be like this and the thermal conductivity to be like this so that we can transfer just enough heat into the oil to turn it into petroleum and not enough that it ends up causing problems. But gold works great for that, but because the temperature of the gold is melting point is at 1063, if it stays if heat transfers into it too long from this magma pool, which is 1500 degrees, it melts the gold. So I thought about doing steel. Steel has pretty similar thermal conductivity, has a very high melting point, but its specific heat capacity is very low. So it takes a while for the heat to transfer in to the oil to turn it into petroleum. I checked a few other metals like aluminum, which has good numbers, but its melting point is even lower. Finally, I found that we could use tungsten. Tungsten has thermal conductivity of 60, same as gold. Its specific heat capacity is 0.134, which is almost the same as gold at 0.129, so it works really well. And its melting point is actually higher than steel at 3421. And I have a decent amount of tungsten because we have been converting all of our it's this one here, all of our wolframite into tungsten. Is this the one? Fine metals, tungsten. Yeah, so we have a setup here that we keep 20 tons of tungsten on supply. So that was the perfect setup. Right now, I'm still having issues with clearing all the gas out of here because the gas got so hot that it's melting or it's overheating my gas pumps. But they're repairing them as they go. The other problem I had is while I was digging this area out, I was just not patient enough, and I had some duplicates come down here to do some work, and they got incapacitated. And because they're so far away from the base, it just was not possible to get them back in time. So I had several duplicates that passed away. What I did is I set up a little tombstone, we mourned them a little bit, and then we replaced them with duplicates with the same name and new traits, and I named them Mark II, so we know which ones are clones of our originals. And we are slowly building up their skills. In order to do that, I have locked those duplicates in the base, and I opened up the gym to them. So I have Gunnif, and I have Max, Toby, Waylander, Airy, AR. I think there's one more. I think Calico is one that I still need to replace. But so those 7 brave souls gave their life in the construction of our new petroleum boiler, and we are bringing them back. Yes, so what I did is, so you can see I have empty graves here. Calico's in here, so I know that when I get a new uh, duplicate that is worth replacing Calico, I will make a Calico Mark II. Then I will get rid of her grave, and we will train her up. These duplicates they now all have the skill points to do the exosuits. The only one I let go out of the base is Teak, because her athletics got up to 16. I'm waiting until their athletics get above 15 before I let them leave the base, because they have a lot of distance to go. So that's a 12, that's a 10. Got us at 1. She'll be in there a while. Hog Wild is now a good candidate. So what we do, I have them exosuit and I have improved carrying, so they have some extra carrying. So what I'm going to do is we'll set Hog Wild to have... Oh, it looks like I already did Hog Wild. Okay, so Hog Wild has full access to go in there, and then I removed her from the gym. So she no longer has access to go into the gym. So she's one of our full duplicates. And I think what I'm going to do is... So Teak was one of them. Let's see, what other traits... Which one gives them... Is there any that give them extra athletics? I don't remember. I don't think so. But let's see. We could give them... For Teak, I could definitely give her operating. Let's make her a mechatronics engineer. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pick a new skill and give them a new hat once we have them outside the base. So Hog Wild was the other one that I did. I don't really need a researcher, but she has some interest in farming. So let's make her a farmer and give her a farmer hat. And then so that what we'll do is I know that the ones that still have just the exosuit hat are the ones that are still being trained up. And that's how I can tell which ones I need to evaluate whether they go out of the base. Max is at 14. He's getting close. Knight just hit 15. So let's work on switching Knight out so we have another body to work in the base. So what we do is take off custom access. Oh, no, we do. Oh, I did. Knight was another one I did. Okay, cool. So looks like I'm jumping ahead of myself from what I was doing the last time. So Knight no longer has access to go in here. Let's see what skills Knight has that we can use up. His desire is to be in the tidying skill line, and I do need a plumber because Calico is our old plumber. So now Knight is our new plumber. So then we have Toby's at 13, she's getting close, and Waylander's at 11, also getting close. So we'll keep an eye on those last 5, and we'll keep them going, and we'll watch for a new duplicate to replace Calico when we get a chance to. But anyway, back to our boiler. This is now pumping out petroleum pretty fast. It's almost keeping up 100% with oil flowing in. I don't have the third oil well hooked up, but so basically right now sometimes it is running into just a little bit of issue keeping the line full because of power spikes or whatever, but we're getting there. So we have petroleum going up here almost 100%, so that means we have 20 kilograms per second of petroleum. It's filling up this tank slowly but surely, and then I have petroleum being fed out to 2 lines to this base and 1 going down into Gargani. Right now it's pulling out quite a bit because it is filling up the tanks. Oh, I need to fix this line. This should not go like this. It should go like that. I'm going to end up pulling this pump out here in a minute. And getting rid of this. We're slowly removing the old oil setup here, but that's going to take some time to get it all done. It's on my list of things to do. But so now we have the base running with power from this petroleum boiler I'm still working out some kinks. You can see that this actually ended up cooling down enough that it turned into igneous rock. It's not an issue because I have plenty of heat coming from this side, but I think I think I'm going to need to get in here and make some changes to it at some point in the future. Or we may just let it cool off all of it, and then we'll pull out the igneous rock and see what we do from there. But I think this is going to have plenty of heat going through so that it will keep this boiler running for quite some time. I want to get all this sour gas out of here, and it caused some steam issues with this pipe that I'm going to have to fix. But for now, everything seems to be working. I need to go down to this third boiler and get this set up so that it's actually running. And I'm not quite sure what's preventing it right now. Let me check. It has water going to it. Oh, I have this line that's just disabling it, so I just need to fix that. So we can actually do that right here. We're going to put in a steel hydro sensor. Actually, let's deconstruct these ladders because we're going to change the way this one is laid out to match the other ones. So basically we do this, this, and this. We deconstruct this tile, and then we put in a couple of hydro sensors here and connect everything up. We need to put in a steel pump that goes here. We'll run a pipe out in a minute. We need to put in some power. And then the automation lines are going to be, the bottom one will go directly to the pump. That will say once this starts getting oil there, pump it out. And then there'll be one here that says if it gets full, turn the oil well off because it's getting to the point where it's going to flow out, and I don't want that to happen. So once they build all that stuff and they deconstruct those ladders, and I can put in the hydro sensors, this will be up and running again. So let me just make that all high priority. And then I need to run a insulated line from here over to my boiler. I'm just going to go straight across like this. It's quite a long run, but that's okay. I think what I'll just do for now is do that. So we'll remove this. And then we'll put in liquid bridge. This and this. And we'll just drain it out down here at the end. Eventually what I'm going to do is put in a reservoir system here that fills up reservoirs instead of dumping it out in the ground. But that means we'll have enough oil here coming from the other end that'll keep this full. And once this drains out, I think I'm going to put in a wall here and make this whole section dry so that we can do some more. So I can expand the area down here so we can get in. I'm working my way across to clear out a new floor underneath this oil, and we're going to expand our magma biome so we can do some more stuff down there too. But it looks like this is getting built. It'll work out over time. Let's put those sensors in that I need. And that will make everything work just fine. So this will keep running, getting natural gas, and it'll keep providing us with oil. And we will be all set for a while. The next thing we're going to work on in this episode is, now that we have petroleum stockpiling up here, we're producing more than we're using. So eventually we'll start having a big stockpile here. I'm going to set up a petroleum rocket and get rid of this steam setup. So I'm going to first rip out this steam system here and close everything off here so that I can get all this gas out of here and set up some steam system or petroleum pumping systems to get petroleum going into a new petroleum rocket. The other thing I'm going to do before I do that, I was holding off on this so I could start it on the video, but I've researched every part of the tree all the way down except for this one right here. So I'm going to start this and we'll come back once this research finishes and we can see the achievement for the research tree being finished, being done. That was our goal that we've been working on for quite some time. So it'll be nice to see that get finished. So I'll be back in a few minutes once that research is done. We are trucking right along away on our research here. You can see it's about almost done for the advanced research. We're started on the data analysis research, and then we have the applied sciences research, which will be the last one we do. This is literally the last research we need to do in the entire tree. So after we're done with this, we don't have to do any more for the rest of the game, unless they add more content. But this is where we're letting this continue to run. I'm just going to show you a few things that I'm making changes to while we're doing that. I sealed up the inside of this boiler mostly. I'm going to put a cap here. I had a space there so we could get down to get some of this gas out. But now the gas can work its way out. I'm going to leave the sour gas inside here for now and let it all close up. I want to seal this up because just in case there's more heat getting pumped out from the petroleum and stuff, I don't want it to get into this sour gas. So I'm trying to get this all pumped out, cooled down. That is all getting pumped out through our filter, which is going into this filter, which is just going and being vented. So we can, once we get all this sour gas out of here, all that heat will be gone, and that will help things a lot. The other thing I did is that heat was causing problems for my water line coming in here. I don't know how I'm going to fix that in the future in case I have more problems, but getting the heat out of here will fix it. For now, the steam is getting into this room, which is fine, but a little bit did get into here, so I'm concerned about gas getting pumped through here up into my natural gas storage. So what I did was this line for now, the one coming just from this oil well, is also getting fed through the filter, which means that steam will get pumped out and handled here, and just the natural gas will continue on through the natural gas filter. The other two are still fine. They don't have any issues, so they're just pumping natural gas directly into the natural gas pump, or reservoir. Up here, I removed that bottle emptier that was there. What I'm going to do is put a tile right here, and then I'm going to put one here to get rid of that water, and that way I'll be able to easily tell if any water works its way into the system. For now, it's cool enough in here mostly that if steam gets in here, it'll turn into water, and then I can just deal with it. It should get pumped out. Worst case scenario, if it does get pumped out, it'll just hit the natural gas generators, and then I'll have to do some repairs. It's not the end of the world. We're also not really using them. They're just a backup if I don't have petroleum, but I'm making so much petroleum that we're only running off petroleum power right now. So this is all kind of overkill, but I am going to get that water out of there and fix these pipes that were damaged from steam before, and do that. Up here at our rocket system, we removed the steam engine and put in a petroleum engine. We're waiting for somebody to come and build it. I shut off power to the thermo aqua tuner, which means the steam in here is no longer being heated. Cut off the line to this cooling loop, which means that this is not getting cooled, but that's not an issue. This can run a little hotter for now. I will fix it later, the permanent solution, once I decide what I want to do. The other thing I'm doing is I'm not putting any more heat in from the aqua tuner, but I am very slowly pumping water in at a rate of 100 grams per second to get added into here. For now, that water is getting turned into steam. Eventually, it will cool this steam off enough that it will condense into water, and then I'll be able to just pump the water back out and finish this room, removing this room since I don't need the steam system anymore. and then we can rip a lot of this out. I'm going to move the liquid lock over because I want this room to be sealed as a vacuum eventually. For now, I just have a door to get into it, which is fine because nobody goes in here, and so these pumps are still pumping this oxygen out of the side of the room very slowly but surely. So I just removed the rocket and put the new rocket right on this setup, which means our Spacefarer module is still intact, which means that we could use petroleum on this rocket. I want to make some changes to this rocket, which is going to take some time, but our next episode, we're going to be finishing up this rocket, getting it set up with a drill cone so that we can go out and harvest this sandy ore field, and with an artifact module so we can go out and collect the artifact that's here on this retired excursion module. We also have an interstellar ocean. I want to grab the artifact here. I don't know if I'm going to grab any of the other mass because I don't really need any of that stuff right now. Eventually we probably will. The organic mass field, we can get algae, slime, dirt, and polluted oxygen from, but we'll grab that artifact. And then we're going to explore out to the rest of the stars to see what these other things that we can't quite see yet are. And that'll be our next episode, or probably a series of episodes as we get the petroleum rocket set up to do some exploration and collection out here. Let me check on this research. Now we're completely finished with the advanced research. We're halfway done with the data analysis research, and we are started on our applied science research. So everything is going along just fine. I'm going to let all this stuff that I have going on run, and I'll come back to finish this episode off with just showing the achievement from that research and then looking at their other achievements to see what our next goal as far as the achievements are after that is finished. So I'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, we're running pretty long in this episode, but there's a few things I want to show, so I'm going to try to be quick about it and keep this episode as short as I can. First of all, I made some changes down here. One thing I was really liked was I decided with this was taking so long to cool down, I decided to put in this little span of radiant pipes here on these oil coming in, and that pulled out a bunch of heat from the sour gas, and it just heated up the oil just a slight amount, and it didn't cause any problem. It's going in here to turn into petroleum anyway, and that cooled this all down so that now I can pump it out without these pumps overheating. The second thing I did is I set up this little reservoir system here, and it looks really complicated, but it's pretty simple. What it does is I have 3 oil wells that are coming in that are providing oil to this system. Right now I also have these 2 pumps that are also pulling in oil to empty out the reservoir over here. But so this one goes in and it goes into this reservoir here. This pipe, if you track back from here, goes all the way to this pipe, which goes to this oil well right here. And then the final one, this one here, goes through here. It goes all the way back across the map to the other oil well. So each one of these reservoirs has 1 oil well dumping into it. I also have 2 pumps here that are dumping off extra oil into those lines for now to empty out what's left in here. But those will eventually dry up, and it'll just be those 3 oil wells coming into here. So then what I have is I have some priority piping. So one of the oil wells goes into this pipe as a priority and goes into this reservoir. This reservoir feeds the left side of our petroleum boiler. Same thing happens on the right. One of the oil wells goes in priority, fills up this reservoir, goes down, and it feeds into the right side of this petroleum boiler. The middle one gets this oil here, and it's set as a secondary for both of those pipes. So whenever one of these oil wells isn't producing enough oil to keep the line full, which happens regularly, then this reservoir takes over filling that up. That means that this oil well is working as like a secondary to fill it up. basically each of these lines is going to provide 3.33 kilograms of oil per second into this reservoir. When it's done, that won't be enough to keep the line pressurized. This one will put 3.33 kilograms into this reservoir, and that will provide half to each of these, keeping them as full as possible. So we're going to maximize the amount of oil we can dump into this boiler all at once. Later on, I'll set up another line that takes the oil from our slicksters and brings it down as well. But for now, that oil is just stockpiling. I think it's actually probably backing up by now. But I have it stockpiling in these tanks. Yeah, so they're filled up pretty much. They're almost filled up. Then the lines will back up. We'll have to deal with it sooner rather than later. Oh, I have polluted water coming in here. That's a real problem. We'll have to fix that then. But that means I have polluted water down in here, which means that my slicksters are probably having some serious problems. Let me quick do a sweep. We'll get that cleaned up. That means that this is probably backed up here or something. Oh, that's what happened. You can see all kinds of problems. I think that what happened was this area got too hot. The polluted water in those pipes boiled and burst because I stopped having the flow going. Okay, well, it's not an ongoing issue because all those pipes are emptied out now, except for these here. But we are going to have to work on cooling in here sooner rather than later before everything starts breaking. It's about to. It looks like it already is a little bit because there's a lot of steam up in here that I got to deal with. But that's okay. I have 38 million calories of food backed up. As long as I solve it fast enough that all of my slicksters die, I should be fine. We'll deal with that in another episode. Petroleum is backing up like I planned. Up here, what I did was I took the liquid out of this pipe. Well, most of it. We saw some of it got burst into steam. And we dumped it into this room here. It's cooling down the steam. The steam is almost completely cooled down now. I may dump a little more water in just to get the last little bit to cool off, or I might just let it do its time. We still haven't gotten our petroleum rocket built. That's fine. It's low priority. That's going to be what we do in the next episode. I did fix the little problem I had over here with the natural gas storage. It's just temporarily plugged up so nobody can get in, but it's working great. But the petroleum boiler down here was the priority, and it's working very well. We are very quickly pulling all this sour gas back out. There was a ton of it, so it's going to take a long time to do it. But these pumps are working now, and so that will eventually pull all this steam and sour gas out of here, including inside the boiler, and then I can seal everything up in a vacuum, which is what I want. So we're going to let that keep on running. The research for this final research is so close to being done, but I think I'm going to just have to start the next episode off with it because we're running really low on time, and I got to finish up recording for today. So next time we will see that achievement, and we'll discuss the different achievements that we want to do after that and our plan going forward. But mostly the next episode, we're going to work on the petroleum rocket now that we have a solid source of petroleum again, and we can start doing some more deep space exploration. We'll clean up this area, get the rocket built, get it all set up, and then hopefully by the end of the next episode, we can be out exploring space. So I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.